What is Google Stadia? How does it work? Does it actually work? Will your nan like it for Christmas? Guys, my name is ESO, and in today's video we're going to be testing Google Stadia at my house, in my car, and at my parents' house. And we're also going to be looking at the internet speed and latency to ultimately decide if Google Stadia is for you. And you guys can find all the timestamps for this video linked below, including a internet speed test and a ping test, which we'll talk more about later, to see if you are ready for Stadia. And by the way, guys, I've also done a no BS live stream where we just play Stadia for an hour and a half and also test out the latency live on stream. So if you're looking for complete uncut gameplay, go and check out that video linked down below too. And thank you, Google, for sponsoring this video by sending me all the stuff that you see here that we need to play Google Stadia with, including a Stadia controller, a charger for it, and a Google Chromecast Ultra. This is apparently all we need to play games at 4K 60 FPS on the TV, or 1080p 60 FPS on your phone, laptop, or PC at launch. But to be honest with you, you technically don't need any of this stuff to play Stadia. You can actually just log into the Chrome browser and just start playing on a mouse and keyboard, or even an old Xbox 360 controller or PS4 controller. But bear in mind, guys, that because the blue Stadia Founders Edition is already completely sold out, you can now only get Stadia early if you get the Stadia Premier Edition for $129, which gets you a controller, a Chromecast Ultra, and 3 months of Stadia Pro. That lets you play games at 4K 60 FPS, and it comes with free games to play as well. So you actually end up saving $50 on that deal in total, or you can just wait until later in 2020 for Stadia Base, which is completely free and works at 1080p 60 FPS. But with Doom Eternal, Cyberpunk 2077, and many more awesome games lined up, you may not be patient enough to wait. So how easy is Stadia to set up on your TV? Because at launch you can only get 4K 60 FPS through your Chromecast. So plug in your Chromecast to the TV's HDMI port and then plug it into the power. It also has a Ethernet port if you want to reduce latency further. But I'll be running mine off the Wi-Fi purely to test it. And then download the Google Home app so you can connect the Chromecast to your Wi-Fi. Now we have the Stadia part. Download the Stadia app from the Android or Apple store and then just log into Stadia. Then just turn the Stadia controller on and use the Stadia app to connect it to your Wi-Fi. And you're done. It's really that simple, and once you've done it, you never have to do it again. You can also select which screen you'd like to play on using the Stadia mobile app. And then you can swap to the TV from the mobile phone really easily. And if you want to swap to your PC or laptop, just open the Chrome browser and go to the Stadia website to start playing on your PC or laptop. It really is that straightforward, but currently it only works with the Google Pixel mobile device at launch, with Android and Apple devices to follow soon. You also need to currently plug the controller into your device since they haven't added wireless support yet, but I've been told it's coming soon. To be honest, playing on your mobile is kind of dangerous though, because now when I can't sleep in bed, I just start playing Red Dead Redemption 2 on my phone with headphones, which is just insanely cool that this game even runs on my phone in the first place. It just still seems like it shouldn't be possible to me. Same if I go around to my mate's house, I don't even bring the Stadia controller, I just log into Stadia and play on his PC with a mouse and keyboard, or even a PS4 or Xbox controller. I've really found Stadia to be super accessible no matter where I am, so long as we have a good Wi-Fi connection to play it. But even then, at 10 megabytes per second, you can still play at 720p 60 FPS, which is still really good. So how on earth does Stadia actually work? Well, basically, Google's data center and edge node Stadia servers are delivering the game through your Wi-Fi to your controller and then to your TV, or whatever screen you're playing on. You can check on the website gcping.com how close you actually are to the Google data center, and that will show you your medium latency to their server. Now, even though I don't live close to London, it doesn't matter, because Google's data center is connected to me through edge points and server nodes that are located locally to me. And with Google continuously investing money in their infrastructure, I've no doubt this service is only going to improve over time. But now let's talk about my experiences with Google Stadia, the good and the bad. Now, I spent a total of 15 hours playing Red Dead Redemption 2 and racing on grid, using the Chromecast Ultra on my Wi-Fi through the TV at 4K 60 FPS, and it just feels like any gaming console. It's really hard to tell that you're actually streaming games right now. Now, my Wi-Fi at home is really good at 60 megabytes per second download speed, but it's good to know that if my Wi-Fi is bad, I could just put an Ethernet cable into the Chromecast to further improve the latency and gameplay. Now, I was genuinely surprised that all the games I've tested on the Chromecast have felt very responsive, and I've never actually been taken out of the action by laggy frames or unstable latency. It's just been very playable and a consistent experience. And to be honest, I'm still blown away how Stadia is even possible. Now let's talk about latency. Latency is not so much reliant on your internet speed as you might think. For example, you can have a 35 megabytes per second download speed and play games at 4K 60 FPS but still experience latency. This is because latency is affected by quite a few things, including how far you are from Google's server. So you can use the website I mentioned earlier to give you a better idea of what your individual latency may be. I would say that in general, Stadia's latency on the Chromecast TV over the Wi-Fi compares very similarly to that of a console, but with more of a delay. This delay isn't really noticeable in most games such as Red Dead Redemption, Grid or Tomb Raider, and I personally found all those games to still be very responsive like I was playing on my Xbox One. The delay becomes more noticeable when you're playing fast-paced games like Destiny 2 or Mortal Kombat. Not so much when I was playing online versus other people because they're also playing on Stadia, but instead versus the computer. Was it still playable? 100%. I just think if you're actually a fan of those games, you'll probably notice the difference. However, if you swap to an Ethernet cable or even your computer with a wired controller, I found those games felt exactly like I was playing on a console and it was noticeably more responsive. But when you consider Stadia is also streaming these games at 4K 60 FPS to you, that's pretty damn impressive, and I don't even know how that's possible. But apparently Google are doing a lot of things server side to minimize that noticeable latency when you're playing the game. But let's not forget, the Xbox One X is a $400 console. You need to pay another $10 per month to play online, compared to just paying $119 for Stadia. I mean, that's a massive price difference for basically getting the same thing. But obviously, if you're a competitive gamer, and you're the kind of person who's buying a $500 monitor to reduce latency by 1 millisecond at 144Hz 2K resolution, I don't think Stadia is really aimed at you, and I'm sure you're not under the impression that it is. But that said, I was live streaming Red Dead Redemption 2 on Stadia for an hour, and my current PC can't even do that as well as Stadia can. So if you're looking at getting into live streaming games without the performance loss, Stadia is pretty damn good, especially when they add in their integrated capture setup, which is one of their many upcoming features that isn't available at launch. But if you guys are worried about playing competitively, I found I could really minimize the latency by just playing Stadia on my PC with an Ethernet cable plugged in. In fact, Stadia did feel more responsive on my PC with a mouse and keyboard or a wired controller connected rather than running through my Wi-Fi, as you'd expect. You can definitely cut 20 or 40 milliseconds or so by doing that. But again, my internet is really good. So what happens if we go to my parents' house where they have an internet speed of 20 megabytes per second and a ping of 20 to the Google server? So I wanted to test out Stadia at my parents' house, and I'm just waiting for them to get back, and then I realised we actually have their Wi-Fi key. So we're sitting outside their house testing it on their Wi-Fi currently, which is pretty cool because you can play Red Dead Redemption on a phone in the car. This is the future. So in this gameplay, as you guys can see, my phone is connected to my parents' Wi-Fi through a double leaf brick concrete wall and insulation. And I say that because it actually does make a big difference to your Wi-Fi reception. And as you can see from this gameplay inside my car, is very choppy and laggy at times. I suppose because it's trying to travel through a double leaf brick wall with insulation into the Wi-Fi router, which is upstairs and quite far away from where I'm actually playing. But then again, this is not a realistic experiment at all, because I was just waiting for my parents to get home and let me in. Once inside the house, as you can see, the gameplay on mobile is really smooth and responsive. And we were playing downstairs with the Wi-Fi router upstairs. But just being inside the house and not outside the house has removed any lag or stuttering completely. So if you have bad Wi-Fi signal, just use an Ethernet cable. But Stadia also works really well on my folks' old TV. Through the Chromecast, it was really responsive and it ran smoothly, and it was just like being at home, aside from their TV isn't 4K. You know, I think a part of me still doesn't really believe Stadia actually exists. I mean, being able to play games like Red Dead Redemption or Mortal Kombat on my mobile phone and for them to look that good, it's just crazy. I think the craziest thing though is the fact that you just never need to upgrade Stadia like you would buying the latest console every few years or upgrading your PC parts. I mean, I spent $2,500 on my PC about 5 years ago, and I had to buy all the games for it as well, and now it's like out of date. But if Stadia was here 5 years ago, then I wouldn't have to upgrade it because Google's doing all the processing and whatnot on their side. And I guess even 10 years from now, when they're releasing the latest games on Stadia, Google's already updated their servers and their processing power to cope with it, and you just don't ever need to worry. A price of $129 seems comparatively tiny compared to like buying a $400 console or whatnot, considering that. And that just blows my mind. And I found myself over the last few weeks playing games where I usually wouldn't, because Stadia just makes them so accessible. Like, I can easily bring it around a mate's house, I can game while I'm cooking, I can stop playing a game and recording on my computer, and then I can go downstairs and carry on in the lounge and relax on the sofa, or, you know, even at midnight if I feel like it, if I can't sleep. And from what Google have lined up feature-wise and game-wise with Cyberpunk and Doom Eternal on their way, it really does look like Stadia is here to stay. But of course, it's going to take them a while to catch up with the pre-existing console and gaming market and widen out their catalogue of game before they probably appeal to the majority of people. But it seems like they're really on top of things. And especially when games are going to get optimized for Stadia in the future, I think it's just going to be such an exciting product, especially because it's backed by Google. So yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comment section. If you have it yourself, let me know your thoughts and opinions on it. Share your feelings about it in the comment section, and I will try and respond if anyone wants me to go ahead and do any more tests that I didn't cover in this video. Let me know, guys. But thanks so much for watching. You can check out all the links below on the latest Stadia news, and I will see you in the next video. Have a fantastic day, and goodbye.